Okay, hello everybody. I think we are live here.
Well, I was forgot to bring. I
What
was
did you
going to
put?
bring down that thing that we won.
We'll bring it down.
Okay.
Walter will be back momentarily. We won something last night, and Walter was so excited that we won it. So, but we're going to show you what that is in a moment here. But hopefully everybody can see and hear us. I'm just checking. Yep, looks like so. Okay, so yeah, Walter will be back in a second. We'll give him a moment here while he's getting what he's getting. Katie Crafts wins the big prize today. First one in the chat. And the prize is air. I'm giving you all the air you can breathe. Yes, absolutely free, all the air you can breathe. Julie's here. Hi, Julie. And Bonbon is here. Cynthia is here. Charlotte. Candace. Russ is here from Quilt Meets World, and he says, good evening, Stephen Walter and chat. I'm trying to steal the idiot title today. Somehow my machine changed my stitch, and I broke a needle. Startled the heck out of me. Well, yeah, that's probably an idiot thing, but you can't have my title. I'm sorry. I have it patent pending, and the whole bit, and copyright, and all that good stuff. But yeah, Russ, like I haven't done that trick before, too. Tamala is here. Who else? I think I said Charlotte. Yes. Joyti is here, or Joyti. I'm not sure how to say it. Let's call you Joy. And Suzanne is here, and Barb is here, and not good, Russ. Tamala says, hopefully the needle didn't get you. Yeah. Patsy's here. Donna's here. Oh, needle getting Russ was yesterday. Needle, it seems that Russ is having a lot of
What
needle.
happened to Russ?
I don't know. I think he's got pricked. I don't know.
Or did it break a needle?
Well, he broke a needle, he said earlier today.
Yeah, okay. So if he broke a needle, it could have bounced up and hit him in the eye.
Well, yeah. Like, I got that. Understood it. But, you know. Mary O's is here. Sue Norfleet's here. Faith is here. And Philippa is here. Hope you all had a great weekend. Yes, it isn't over for us yet, though, Philippa, but it is for you. And Derek is here, and Karen B is here, and Karen Burnett is here, and Patricia, Jen, Colleen, Nadine, Lily, and Mary Overbeck's here. And Jackie is here. Everybody's coming in all at once here. Well, that's good. Glad everybody is getting in here and whatnot. A little chilly here today.
Says it's 19.
Says it's 19 now, but
that's almost 70.
But
yeah.
when I got up this morning, it was 8.
It's really windy though. Because when I was when I went for my walk, my hat almost blew. My hat blew off almost twice.
Well, I thought you were going to say your hair almost blew in the wind, but
I wear a baseball cap so my top of my head doesn't get burnt.
Yeah, rough life you have there. Bombo says, great shirts. Did you guys make them? I did not. Walter did. Yes, Walter made our shirts. Any shirt you see me wearing.
I usually try and wear one of my shirts on Sundays, but yeah. I end up making more shirts for Steve than I do for myself because he wears them all the time. I tend to wear a t-shirt.
Yeah. I look good. He looks like a bum. Yeah. Whatever. Yeah, well, if the weather starts to get colder, though, I won't be wearing my short sleeve ones because I only have one long sleeve one that he ever made me. So I'll be going back to my Mark's Work warehouse.
Yeah, I'm going to try and make a few long sleeve ones this winter because, but I need to alter the pattern because the pattern that I've got for the one that they're a little tight around the arms.
Oh.
And I got to look into see if I got. They have a different sizing system on that pattern for a little looser fit because that one was a little bit more of a slim fit. So I don't think we need to have a slim fit.
Well, speak for yourself. I still have my girlish figure from when I was 20. Yeah. Johanna's here. Julie says, question, how long is your quilting machine table? Do you need the 12 foot to do a king size? I'm in the market. Mine is 10 feet. You've opened up a sore spot with Walter. He wanted me to get a 12 foot. I said there wasn't room. We wouldn't get around it.
There was room.
He still sticks to his horses.
Well, anyway, a 10-foot will do a queen size, and a 12-foot supposed to be able to do a king size.
Yeah. So if you want to do a king size, you're going to need a 12 foot.
But you know, even if you get a 12-foot, this is my sore point, is that if you're doing a smaller quilt, you have some extra room, you know, in case you needed to do something like turn it sideways or something like that.
I turned my first quilt sideways the other day. More on that soon, coming this episode. So yeah, I hope that answered your question, Julie. Mary is here. Barb says it's 30 degrees in Calgary. It was 34 yesterday. Wow. You guys are getting the hot weather now. We're getting the cooler weather. So, but I've heard a rumor or whatever that possibly next week we're going to go back up again so I can wear my short sleeve shirts longer. I had to put on pants last night. And what I mean by that is, no, I don't run around without lower garments on. At least not on a regular basis. No, because we went out to the reunion last night, my high school reunion. I needed to put on long pants, and I had to put on shoes as well because I haven't had shoes on my feet since
you
since we went to Australia.
You wear sandals.
I wear sandals, yes, all the time. I love sandals, but I'd wear them all year round, except in a snowbank it's a bit frosty on the toes. Let's see. Charlotte said it was 69 degrees in Texas this morning. Well, that's a little cooler. Not really cold, but you know what I mean. Philippa says chilly here in the morning also. Pat says, do you not just add long sleeves to your short sleeve pattern?
Well, this pattern is actually just a short sleeve pattern, and I have another pattern that's a long sleeve pattern. Though one of the ladies that I sew with had suggested, because her and her husband and we both like this pattern the way it fits, right? She was saying, well, can't we maybe MacGyver it so that we can use the long sleeve pattern for the other shirt and try and match it up with that so that we get a thicker sleeve for the short sleeves. I don't know. We're looking into it. I'm looking into it.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're looking into it. Although, if you saw So Chatty this week, we did suggest that there is a possibility, no guarantees on this one. It's all going to depend on Walter's mood, possibly mine too. I want him to sort of teach me, guide me through the process of making a shirt. I have never done garment sewing, so if anything, it could be a comedy routine. Heaven only knows what I'll end up with, and that'll be done over several weeks, probably. And it's not going to be a tutorial. I know people have been asking Walter, would he do a tutorial? And he always says, no, he will not.
No, because I do a few things that are a little unconventional, and I don't think I should be teaching people to do unconventional things.
Well, I don't know. That's sometimes how you learn. You just learned a new technique for putting in sleeves, and that's sort of unconventional as far as you knew. At least it's not your usual wheelhouse.
Well, that's not the way I was taught. But the person that taught me has used his method for a while, which is actually an advanced method, and he seems to be able to do it. And a bunch of us that even though I make a pile of shirts, I've always had a problem putting a sleeve in. So I found a technique that I tried for the first time on another shirt that I'm making now, and it works really good. It worked really good that one time. So I'll see how it works in the future. So,
well, you say you don't do things necessarily a conventional way or whatever, but then that's what makes things interesting. Now, if you watch YouTube videos, everybody's got their own method for this, that, and the other thing. I mean, it's the one that works best for you. It may not be the way the experts do it or whatever, but there's many ways to get to the same end product. So, I don't know. I wouldn't worry about that. But we'll see what will happen out of that. I mean, I may find that I absolutely hate the process. Well, I have a feeling already that it's going to annoy me, but I'd like to give it a try just once to see what happens? Who knows? Maybe I'll really like it and I'll start making my own shirts. I don't know. I doubt it. Why make your own when you've got a built-in tailor? I don't know. But let's see here. Now, a few people came in. Andy's here. Hi, Andy. And Teresa's here. Heather's here. Karen says it was 45 this morning in SE, Michigan, Southeast Michigan. Dana says it's 34 in Regina. Karen says she'd love to learn with you, Stephen. I've never made anything but masks and quilts. Yeah, well, it won't be set up in my mind right now. It won't be set up like a tutorial. It'll be a more or less, you may learn some things from it. I know I'll learn a lot. I'll learn how to be patient and not strangle the teacher.
Yeah, well, I gotta redo the pattern that I've got, because the pattern I've used it so many times it's beginning to fall apart. So I gotta cut out a new one for you.
Teresa says, "Oh, Stephen, no, you have a man who makes your shirts that fit you perfectly. Why mess with this success?" I know, but I'm an idiot. So there you go.
I mean, I don't. It's not particularly hard to sew a shirt, but it's a bit time consuming, and well, it seems the more I make, the slower I get at it.
Well, I've done some complicated things in
Yeah,
quilting
I
too,
know,
so
yeah.
like whatever. Teresa, no, Barb's got a question. Walter, do you put your sleeves in flat?
Yes, I do. I put them in flat. I don't put them in a circle. A lot of the tutorials I saw online do their sleeves in a circle, but I do it in flat, and I have a reason for that, because the way I sew my seams up after instead of first.
So I don't know if Jackie is insulting you or whether she's just helping me out with this comment, and I'm making fun of this. Shirt making isn't real hard. I made several for a dear friend. So we know what you meant, Jackie. Stephanie's here. Hi, Stephanie. Stephanie is going off on her retreat in a few days' time. So I hope she has a good time. Well, I know you're going to have a good time. One way or the other, you will have a good time. Let's see. Bombone says, learning those little things is some of the most helpful information. Yeah, in case Purple Wall says, I find sleeves and collars difficult. Yeah, I don't know. I probably will too.
I don't have too much problem with collar. I sort of got that down packed, but but sleeves getting around the top, I had some issues with. I've done it. I've done it successfully without any techniques, but I have had a few. I've had like a few of my disasters too.
Well, Teresa says 2 words, Stephen. Curved piecing. Exactly what I was thinking too. I think the hardest thing in quilting is curved piecing, but I've done it, and I've done it successfully. It did take a little time, a little bit of practice, some patience with it, but I was able to do it. I don't like doing it. It's like partial seams. They're not hard once you figure them out, but it's one of those things I don't like doing either. So I do avoid them if I can, but sometimes you can't. So yeah, I mean, one thing I'm not looking forward to in making a shirt is the actual cutting it out from the pattern.
Actually, that's not too hard.
I guess I'm so used to straight lines though, cutting out stuff in straight lines. Do you use your rotary cutter?
Yeah, I do. I use the 45-inch.
Yeah, that's why I figured, the smaller one. Well, I've cut out appliques with a small rotary cutter, and that's been fine. I have cut out a pattern once before when I took a couple of classes when I first got my serger, and we made a sweatshirt and we made a pair of pajama pants, and I had to use a pattern and I had to cut it out for that, and I was able to do it without too much of a problem, but it's not, I don't enjoy it particularly. Well, I didn't at that point in time. Who knows? Maybe if I do it more often, I would
actually the part that I hate the least is cutting out the pattern.
Oh yeah. Oh.
I don't mind.
Dubrovka's here. Hi, Dubrovka.
Yeah.
Dana says making half square triangles. Oodles of options to make those. Yeah, that's true. I love half square triangles. I have a thing for them. I really do. And I didn't when I first learned how to make those. But now, and as you say, Dana, there are so many different ways to make if you need to make a lot of them. I mean, that's why I don't bother anymore using the paper for them. The strips of paper, triangulations is one of them, and the other one, what they call them, triangles on a roll or something like that. When I first got into quilting, I discovered those, and I bought all kinds of them, and I still have them all in their packages. And I find I can do a half square triangles faster the conventional way of drawing the line than I can on the paper, because I hate pulling out the paper with them. So yeah, but I know whatever gets you through. Um, let's see. Just going down the list here. Donna's here. Hi, Donna. Um, Russ says, Walter, why not make Stephen cut the new pattern? Make him learn everything.
And I got some stuff that I have to put together special, so that we've altered the pattern to make it a little easier to put together.
So Russ, what's your middle name? Shit disturber? I think it is. I think so. But I would be. If he's going to teach me how to do a shirt, I want to learn how to read the pattern properly, set it up, and do all of that, because I know there's markings on patterns like darts or something, or
there's notches,
yeah, for things like that. So yeah, I'd want to learn it all from beginning to end.
Actually, the most notches that there's 2 notches in the back that I need to do, and there's two sets of notches for your sleeve that I usually work with. I mean, there's other notches on the pattern, but I don't bother with them.
Yeah. Let's see here. I'm just trying. Everything bounced on me. Moved up to the top. Johanna says that. Oh wait, no. Charlotte said, Stephanie, love the video you shared of Lake Erie. That song was perfect. And Johanna says, I'm going to retreat near my home this week, Monday to Friday. Oh, guess we won't see you on Wednesday then, Johanna. You'll be off to doing other things. Stephanie says, guaranteed with lots of wine. Yeah.
No, you don't want to drink too much wine when you're doing a shirt.
I don't know. Maybe you don't. Bonnie is here. Hi, Bonnie. On your freestanding lace embroidery, do you use white in your bobbin or matching thread? And have you ever used cotton thread? Geez, Bonnie, do you watch our videos much? I'm joking, but we do talk about that, and we've had several times. But I will talk again, because you obviously didn't catch that stuff. So on the freestanding lace, I do use white in my bobbin. I very seldom ever change. In fact, I never do. And here's why. If you use if you use a pre-wound bobbin, usually if you've got a 60 weight or higher, it gets covered up by your top thread. So you don't have to worry about, one side will be a little nicer, slightly nicer than the other side. But you also save yourself some time and a whole lot of problems, because depending on if you wind the bobbin yourself, sometimes with certain threads the tension won't be quite right on that, and it can cause you grief. So if you have pre-wound bobbins that you use on a regular basis and they work for you on other things, they will work for this, and you won't really see the white bobbin.
Now,
okay?
I have done some two-sided projects that were sort of a two-sided project, and I started using a matching bobbin on it because it does give you a slightly better, depending on how much you see the other side, but it's up to you what you do, right?
Yeah, you have to experiment.
It's very, like Steve says, a lot of times you can get away with a white bobbin and it's fine. And but what I've done is I've used like a colored cotton thread as my somewhat matches the top thread. The top threads I use is our polyester 40 weight, and I have used like a 50 weight bottom thread, or if you have them like preferably a 60 weight bottom thread, and you can buy pre-colored bobbins too
Yeah,
from
you can.
Wonderfill. There's a project I was doing with black, and Steve used the white bobbin. It worked out fine for
Yeah.
him. I used the black bobbin, and it was a little blacker on the other side than using the white bobbin. But most of those pieces weren't exposed because they were the houses, right? So you only see the
Yeah.
one side, and but it really didn't make that much difference. So like it's kind of up to you.
It's really, yeah, you have to experiment a little bit. And if you're really afraid that someone's going to do a real close scrutiny of both sides of your FSL, you may want to match the color. The other problem with matching the colors is the number of color changes.
Yeah.
You know, like if you're doing a piece that has 5, 6, 9, 10, 20 different color changes, and you're putting in a different bobbin for each of those, or for most of them, I mean, some of the colors would probably repeat it, that's going to triple your time to make it. But if it's a piece that is done as a single color, like for example, if you were doing like that sewing machine that Stephanie showed us there some time ago, and if you do it in a single color, well, you just need one color of a bobbin.
Yeah, do it first. Like most of the time, it doesn't really make much difference if you use a white bobbin, but probably I would use the white bobbin anyway for stuff. But one thing we did find is that with those, Steve uses Floriani 40 weight, and if you try and light a bobbin with that, you may have problems with it.
The 550E Janome R Machines does not like bobbins wound with the Floriani thread.
Right. And I use a different kind of thread that I get from Monfil, which is, they call it Super B or Superb or whatever. And I have successfully used them as a bobbin. But they still give me some problems if I do it. And it's a 40 weight.
You have to.
But I did some freestanding lace in black, and I used a black bobbin that was 60 weight.
Yeah.
But it was 60 weight cotton.
You have to experiment, is what I say. And especially if you're new to doing this kind of stuff, experiment and get to see which one gives you the best result. Because we can tell you, what we're telling you is what gives us the best result. That does not necessarily mean it's going to give you exactly the same result. Sewing machines and embroidery machines are all temperamental. They all have personalities of their own. And you have to learn the personality of your machine and figure out what works for you, for your aesthetic, for one thing, and gives you the least amount of pain and grief.
Yeah. In general, I would just use the white bobbin.
Yeah, and that's what I do. I have never had it where I thought it was worth changing the colors for each of the bobbins. And did we answer your second part of our question? Have you ever used cotton thread? I guess you did. You said
yes. I use cotton
Yeah.
thread. Actually, I prefer using cotton thread in the bobbin than the polyester thread, because, or unless you have a Gutermann type polyester thread, that would be okay. But I'm talking about the embroidery type polyester thread.
But again, it depends on the brand and what your machine likes. Like, we've never used Isocord because it's not that readily available in our area.
And I haven't used Glide as a top.
I've used Glide as a top thread, but
I haven't
just
tried it as the
and it worked
thread.
fine. It worked fine, but I've never tried it in the bobbin. No. So again, experiment. Heather says, would love to see how you measure and put buttonholes on your shirts.
Well, basically, I can tell you right now how I measure. I measure them halfway between the button band. So if your button band's an inch wide, then you put your hole in 0.5 in there, and you just measure straight down. And I measure from, all my buttons are 3.5 inches apart. So.
And how did you manage to come up with that as the measurement?
I was told to do that,
Oh,
except
okay.
for one shirt I goofed up and I did them 2.5 inches apart, and it still looks okay. It's just I got a lot more buttons on it.
More buttons on it, yeah. So I guess as long as they're evenly spaced.
Yeah, you just you get a ruler out and just That's when I do the buttonholes. I do that first, and then in case my buttonholes are a little off, it takes me a bit more time, but I use the buttonholes to mark my where I put my buttons.
Well, you can get a little device
Yeah,
that looks like it folds out like an
accordion.
accordion, has these points on it, and I forget what they call it.
I have one. I've never used it.
Yeah, it's there's a name for it, and I can't think what it is.
Yeah,
It's been a, you can get them from Amazon. They're not very expensive.
yeah. It's an accordion, and what you just
Accordion,
accordion, and then what you just do is pull it out, and it'll automatically measure holes equally all the way down, and then you just decide how far apart they need to be. But if you can measure your one of your husband's shirts or a shirt that or blouse or whatever, and look at how far they've spaced the buttons apart,
Oh,
and
yeah,
then
just
you
use it like a
do it
template.
like that, right? So the top button, under the top buttonhole, I measure 3.5 inches down and keep going all the way down.
Some people have come in. Let's see who. Oh, Heather Refus is here. Janet is here. Robert's here. Robert has a question. Having trouble getting my back tension correct on long arm. Do you use a Torr gauge? No, I do not use one of those gauges, but I saw a really interesting video. What's the name of the guy? Jamie Whalen? Jamie Whalen, I think. And he's a wonderful long armor. And he did a video showing how to set your tension on your long arm. Now, I just had a little problem with tension, and I used his method. Actually, I want to fine tune my tension on my machine a little bit more, maybe next week. Maybe I'll make a video of what I try with it when I do it. But essentially, what you do is loosen your tension right off, is what he says, and then on a piece of a
You
scrap
mean your
sand.
upper tension?
Your upper tension, yeah. He does not recommend that you touch the tension in the bobbin itself. He says that's only on rare occasions you might want to do that, and that's with very specialized threads and something. And what he says you do is loosen off the tension in the top on the thread in your discs, and do a little bit of quilting around, and go and do points, like do curves with a point in it, and look at that. And if you see your bottom thread is coming up, and you will when you loosen that off a little bit or tighten it, maybe it's tighten it. Yeah, it's tighten it. Then you start to loosen it off. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. And you just do it a quarter of a turn. Do some more. If you can still see your bobbin thread coming up to the surface, then turn it again until you don't see that anymore. He says ideally, he did a diagram. He shows that ideally what you want is your top thread and your bobbin thread to basically meet in the center of the layers of your quilt. Like, so in other words, it's almost equidistant. So where the two are pulling on each other, that's kind of in your batting, in the middle of your batting. And then your tension is right. But you have to play with it. Now, that gauge you're talking about, which tend to be fairly expensive, I've heard mixed reactions about that. I've heard many people actually say, and there's YouTube videos about this, where they say those are useless. But there's other people that swear by them. I've never bothered to invest in one because I've never really had any tension problems until very recently. And actually, the tension problem I had was because of I didn't realize that my bobbin thread, it had broken, but it wrapped around the bobbin case. And that's what, and by the time I saw what it was doing, I mean, I'd done quite a bit and I had to rip things out. But yeah, I wanted to do some fine tuning on the adjustment of my bobbin because I have played around with it. On my last quilt, it was fine, but I did a little playing around with it, and that's not the time to play around with it when you're doing a quilt. You know, really, I'm an idiot. But yeah, so I'm going to work on some of that maybe this week, and maybe while I'm doing it, I'll make a little video at the time and showing what I'm talking about. But in the meantime, I think my recommendation, according to this Jamie Whalen, whatever his name is, he says don't touch the tension on your bobbin. He does show you how to do that. There's a little screw on the bobbin case, and you can loosen it off or tighten it up a little bit, and it's basically the same thing, but it's a pain in the butt because you loosen it slightly or tighten it slightly, just like an eighth of a turn, then you have to stick it back in the machine and try something, and then you have to pull it back out, whereas adjusting it from the top tension is a little bit easier. So yeah, I hope that helps you out.
And people have been writing stuff. So.
Yeah, okay, I'm aware. Jeez, you're just a chatty Cathy today. Anyways, Lynn's here. Hi, Lynn. Jan's here. Oops, bounced. Where am I? I lost my place. Kim is here. Jeannie is here. Did I miss anything? I think I'm okay. Karen says, Stephen, what kind of Janome do you have to sew on? Well, I have several. The embroidery machine is a Janome 550E. My main sewing machine is a Continental M7, and my travel machine is a Skyline S7.
And my machine is a Janome 6700P.
Yeah. Barb says purchasing pre-wound bobbins is the way to go. Yeah, I do. Well, okay, I don't know, Barb, if you mean long arm or for your domestic machine, but I buy pre-wound bobbins for my long arm as well. I've got a winder. The long arm came with a winder. I have never used it. Since day one, I have used pre-wound bobbins. I just find for what they cost, the tension on them or the way they're wound is nice and even and everything there, and you're not fooling around winding 100,000 bobbins for every quilt that you want to do. So as far as I'm concerned, the price is right on that kind of thing. Russ says different machines have different personalities, and even different machines of the same brand model have different personalities. It's strange, but it's what makes us all special. Yes, Russ, you are very right about that. Stephanie says, I have been using Glide in the top and everything is coming out beautifully. But like Steven said, experiment. Yep. And I think what Stephanie's talking about is embroidery. Stephanie is new into the embroidery world. We enabled her, and she has the same machine as Walter and I have, the Janome 550E. Sandra's here from Texas. Greenland Katie is here. And Jan says, I use Glide top and bottom in her Janome 550E. I've not tried to wind a bobbin with Glide. Or are you using the pre-wound Glides? That's probably what you mean. And I do have some of those. I've never tried it. Because I'm a Floriani boy. And that's just, I have a lot of Floriani. I save my Glide for my quilting.
Yeah, you have pretty much every color in Floriani.
Yeah, pretty much. Yep. Gloria's here. Hi, Gloria. Brenda's here. Oh, Brenda, you were probably asleep. What's this? Russ says, Greenland Katie, you still can't tell us apart. I guess it proves all white people look alike. Oh, Russ, you are funny today. Karen Burnett says Quilter's Apothecary. That's it, Jamie. Yeah, Quilter's Apothecary. Jamie, the long arm guy. Yeah, that's the guy. He's got a really good video about tension. Faith says, interesting, handy quilter taught us to always start with the bobbin tension. What do you mean start?
Start adjusting the bobbin tension. Actually, we've been taught the other way.
We've been taught the other way
with APQS.
Yeah. So. Personally, I wouldn't trust handy quilter, but I'm not going to say too much about that because I know people have them. Joan says, hi, Stephen Walter. I was putting a horse window pane wall hanging on the design board and lost track of time. It's turning out pretty well. My first window pane. Hope you both had a great week. That sounds interesting, Joan. Kevin Mirth, I don't know how to say that, is here. Robert says, thanks, David. I'll watch Jamie's video and keep practicing. Yeah, his video's excellent. Charlotte says, I discovered that my Janome 4120 prefers glide thread. Yep. As we said, they all have personalities. Julie says, I just got my first box of pre-wound. My home machine loves it. Yep, that's all I ever use is pre-wound. Jan winds her own. Of course you do, Jan. No wonder you have a lot of problems that she doesn't tell us about. But I know she does. I know she does. I know Jan too well. And Kim's here. Did I say hi to Kim? I don't know.
The other thing with, like if you use the same thread as your bottom thread as your top thread, is the bobbins run out a lot quicker if it's a 40 weight or something like that.
Yeah.
If you're using like a 60 weight, then you can get more distance with the bobbin.
But as we always say, if it's working for you, if it
Yeah.
ain't broke, don't fix it. We're not here to tell you that our way is the absolute right way, but we strongly suggest you go it. No, we say this is what works for us. That's all we ever say. This is what we've had success
This is what
with.
we do.
We're just sharing our
You do you.
experience. You do you. If Jan's happy winding her own bobbins, then that's just fine by me because I'm not Jan and I'm not doing it. So there you go. Okay. So we got on to a whole lot of talking about sewing here. So let's take a look at a little sneak peek at things I'm going to talk about in more detail on Idiot Quilter this week. So these are the projects I've been working on in the last week. This is Stephanie's Sew Along Cozy Star quilt, Stephanie's design. And you can see we've got 12 blocks done. There is, and I just got this morning, Stephanie just sent out this morning and posted the video showing you how to make the last 2 blocks, and there's 2 of each block, so that'll be 4 more blocks. I cut out my pieces this morning, so next week I'll get those done, and then next weekend or though we're going to figure out how to assemble it all. And I'm really happy with the way it's turning out. I'm loving it.
Well, you have 2 more different blocks to do?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. These are all 2 of the same.
Yeah.
This is not the way it's going to be laid out in the pattern. This is just a placeholder at the moment. The final assembly is not going to look like this. And okay, this one's all completely done, completely quilted. It looks okay. I have some issues with it and some things that happened with it, all of my own doing. And in fact, this is where, no, I didn't have a problem with the tension on this, but this made me want to adjust the tension. But I'm going to talk about these things in more detail on the Idiot Quilter on Tuesday, because there's some interesting things happening here that you really probably don't notice right now, and we're not going to let you study it. And this is another sew along with Stephanie. I did this with Stephanie. This is a Tracy Perks. You've heard us talk about her. This is one of her quilt patterns. Her patterns are fantastic. They are easy to follow, clearly written, and if you can do half square triangles, you can do most of Tracy's quilts. They go together very fast. This doesn't look like it's that big, but it is 60 by 60. And I did it as a Christmas quilt, but this would work well in other patterns too. And yeah, it's all quilted. And again, I'm going to talk about this in a little bit more detail on the Idiot Quilter. And coming up in the next month or so, Stephanie's going to be doing another sew along with a Tracy Perks. And I don't know, well, she's already told people this, but she has another person who happens to be on here going to be joining her for that. And another Tracy Perks fan, and that's Julie, who's on here as well. So that should be quite exciting. I'm debating whether or not I want to join in on that one. I mean, I like the pattern, but I got so many projects and I don't need the diversion, but who knows? Probably will. Okay, let's see. What's everybody saying here? And Pat's here. Hi, Pat. The Bovic likes the blocks. Thank you, Charlotte. To the projects, Johanna says, I'll be working on at the retreat or the pumpkin parade and in pieces quilts. I have cut both quilts so I can just get started sewing. Yeah, you'll probably get those done in the retreat you're going to, because both of those sew very fast. Pumpkin parade, for anybody who doesn't know, is another one of Stephanie's patterns. It's available on her Etsy shop. And the in pieces one is the one by Tracy Perks, which is, I just go to Rope and Anchor. It's called. That's Tracy's website, and you can purchase it there. Yeah, Julie says you have to, referring to the Tracy Perks pattern that Stephanie and she are doing as a solo. Make us laugh. Not the same without you. Yeah, I know, but then we all sew our fingers together and it's bloodshed on your quilt. So I suggest dark backgrounds in that case. Okay, so Walter has nothing to show you because he hasn't finished the shirt yet. So, announcements. Sewing with Stephanie and Stephen Wednesday, except we will be without Stephanie because Stephanie will be off to, or probably at, her retreat. So we'll be missing Stephanie next week. So no, that doesn't mean you can all go, oh, fine, we can take it off. I'll be here. Yeah. Yeah, we'll see what happens with that one. Pop-up Sew Day. Okay, this coming weekend, Saturday and Sunday, September the 14th and September 15th. For those of you that wish you could sew for 24 hours a day, well, your dream is almost coming true. I am having a pop-up sew day on Saturday, September the 14th. That's this coming Saturday. Starts at 8. The link for it will be in the show notes for this video replay today. It's also will be in my vlog in Idiot Quilter next week and in So Chatty next week as well. And I'll be sending it out to all of you on the mailing list tomorrow morning. And most of you know the routine for that. And if you've never been to a pop-up sew day, please come. You're welcome to be there. If you want to be there, come and go as you please. Come as late, come as early, leave as late, leave as early that you want, and work on whatever. The next day, Russ of Quilt Meets World, who's here, is having his first sew day. I don't know any more of the details yet because Russ has kept it very close to his heart. It will be a Zoom. I know that. I know it won't be recorded. I know it's on Sunday. I don't know what time it starts. I don't know what the link is. This is yet for Russ to reveal. So we're all sitting on the edge of our seat, shivering in anticipation for this. So Russ, tell us soon. Inquiring minds want to know. So those two things are coming up. Fall retreat. My fall retreat is scheduled for October the 19th. Tomorrow at 9 o'clock, there will be a special video that will go on air that explains the whole ins and outs of this retreat. Okay, so be sure to tune into that. Don't worry about taking notes because everything I say in that video will be in the show notes below it, so you can just cut and paste those into your word processor or wherever you keep your notes on things, and it'll all be there for you. I will also be sending that information out to anybody on my mailing list too, and that includes the registration day. Yes, you have to register if you've never been to one of mine, but it is absolutely free. And why I have you register and all that kind of stuff will all be revealed in that video. So that's tomorrow. It goes up 9 a.m. So you can check it out. We're still looking for ideas for So Chatty. We've had a couple of people that have requested that we do an episode on quilting rulers and templates. And, you know, which ones we use the most and all that kind of thing. And we have started to develop that topic for next Friday. And when I say we, I mean me. For that, I just tell Walter what he's going to say. And then he screws it all up. So, you know, goes on his own little merry way. Sometimes tries to contradict me.
What?
Yeah, what? Yeah, really. Hello, Earth to Walter. Anyways, yeah, that's what we'll be doing next Friday on So Chatty, rulers and templates. But we're looking for more ideas, people. And as I've said before, It may be an idea that we don't know enough about or not experienced enough about, but it doesn't matter. We'll make it up. No, what I mean is it gives us a springboard. It generates other ideas we hadn't thought of that we can pursue. So basically what I'm saying is the more thoughts, brainstorms you give us, the more we have to work with and we can, work around. We like doing series. We really do. Because we can get into topics in a little bit more in depth than just in one video. And so, yeah, so if you've got ideas, put them in the comments below or send them to me directly via email. Email address is in the show notes. You will find a link to where it's located. Okay, so new purchases. Well, Walter's just been buying things coming out of his little ears here. He bought, what you buy this week, Walter?
I bought a new
You bought pot. I mean, a new pot.
bought a new pot. Bought some new pot. I bought some new pot.
That's right. They haven't all come yet, have they?
No. We had this stupid what do you call it? Pots and pans that were these non-stick ones, and all the stick were wearing off them, and I don't like them. And I had an older set that was a stainless set that we had put away when I got the non-stick ones, and I started taking out the stainless steel ones again. And I've always really wanted a decent set of cookware. I mean, I should have bought it when I was younger, but
it was cheaper then.
Yeah. So anyway, so I bought a decent stainless pan, and I got a couple other ones coming, and so far so good. I'm happy with them. They weren't cheap. They were all clad stainless. So
yeah. So yeah, and yet the other night I used one of his other pans.
Oh no, it wasn't expensive. I bought an inexpensive carbon steel pan a few months ago to try it out, and I should have actually bought the more expensive one. But the one that I bought isn't working properly. I didn't like the way it cooked because it warps when you turn the heat on.
He didn't tell me this until I go to use it to make quesadillas, which came out quesadilla crispy, extra crispy.
Yeah, well, he didn't put any oil in the bottom of the pan.
Well, I'm always confused about this with the oil in the pan.
Whatever pan you use some oil.
All right, because it seems every time I pull out one of his pans, I've used it wrong. I get into trouble for all of that. Whatever. But so anyways, he's got this new fancy one. I'm afraid to touch it. Did you season it yet?
You don't season it. It's stainless steel.
Well, guess what? According to Glenn and Friends Cooking, he was pulling out aluminum pans and that, and he got a new one.
Yeah, I got a new one with carbon steel on the inside. And carbon steel you have to season.
Well, steel is steel.
No.
I don't know. Whatever. See what I mean? See what I told you. This
carbon steel is sort of like what do you call it?
I don't know what you call it.
You know, the big heavy ones, cast iron.
Oh, we have one of those too.
Yeah, that one you have to season.
Yeah, I know that. But anyway, so he got that. And then he bought something else. Sounds like a French dictator for burners. Napoleon barbecue.
I didn't buy those. I got them free.
Well, okay. Technicalities here. Tell them why. What you got.
I had two burners go bad on. I have a Napoleon barbecue. It's 5 years old, and the two of the burners are broken on it. So I sent an email to Napoleon and said two burner and showed them a picture, and two of the burners had gone, and they're under warranty for 10 years. So they sent me two new ones within a week. So I had a hell of a time installing them, but I got them installed.
There was cursing, there was swearing.
No, there wasn't actually. I was very patient.
Why did the neighbors ask you if everything was all
No,
right?
no, no. They asked me because they heard me banging around upstairs on the barbecue to try and get it to.
It's funny how the story changes. I don't know. He was cursing, he was swearing. Okay, you came in the house and you were cursing and swearing. Didn't get the goddamn
Yeah,
hoods
well,
off.
when I came in, I was, but when I was outside, I didn't. I just breathed heavy.
Yeah, it's funny how the story translates differently between the two of
Well, when
us.
I used to work in an office, I couldn't swear, so I used to just breathe heavy.
But apparently that didn't stop the Jehovah Witness from telling you
Yeah,
she didn't appreciate your language.
occasionally I
See
would
how the
swear.
story changes? You know, you omit things. Yeah, I don't know, whatever. So yeah, so Walter got a new pot and he got new burners and the Napoleon. But the one thing about the company, Napoleon, their barbecues are expensive. Um, but they stand behind their warranty because you had no problem with them. Now you did have the bill of sale and
Yeah,
everything. They asked for that, and he just sent them in a copy of the like, scanned it, whatever.
online. Yeah,
Yeah, online, and yeah, and they came pretty quick.
yeah. They came. I put it in for Monday, and they came on Friday.
Now, what's happening with the side burner?
I have to put it in yet. I never really thought about it at the time I ordered the propane, but the side burner is rusted, so I was gonna put a claim in for that too. So
Yeah, so really, that's impressive because it's like to deal with companies, right? They may have a guarantee, but they want you to jump through flaming hoops, and they can't do too little for you. But Napoleon, really good. So, and we've never dealt with them before, so that worked out okay.
nope, I didn't go to Canadian Tire this week.
Yeah, no, he didn't. And the other new thing that we got is, yes, I bought another new printer, another 3D printer. But you're going to say, but yeah, just a week and a half ago, didn't you buy a new one then? Yes, I did. So why did you buy another one? Because I am slowly replacing all my older printers with the ones I really like. So I still have 5 printers in my print mill. I've got 2 of those sitting, just trying to figure out what I'm going to do with them. And I can tell you this before anybody says donate them to a school or a library. They do not want them. They want ones that they don't have to tinker with. These ones work, but they're a pain in the butt because you have to do a lot of fine tuning to get what you want out of them. And library people and school people do not want to be tinkering with them. So I don't know what I'm going to do with them yet. I may strip them down for parts that I can use in the other ones. I don't know. I don't know. Set them out on the front lawn and see if someone takes them. I have no idea.
Was it Karen? Oh yeah, Karen Beast asked about sales at Crappy Tire. Maybe she was referring to the pots.
Oh,
I You can't buy these pots at Canadian Tire.
they're all clad.
They're all clad. You have to buy it from a chef place, or actually, I ordered a couple. I ordered one from Amazon through a chef's outlet in Canada, a third party, and I ordered 2 others from William Ashley.
So yeah. So we're going to have decent cookware, and I'm afraid to use it. Now, just backing up here because there was some conversation here. Jan says, I can't wait for Wednesdays and next weekend. Yeah, you'll be your dreams are coming true, Jan. If Jan had her druthers, we would have a pop-up sew day every day of the week. Johanna says, I plan to attend both pop-up sew days. That will be 7 days straight sewing for me. And Dana says, I'll be in Pitcher Creek at the Machine Embroidery Retreat all weekend. Have a wonderful weekend without me. We will. Oh, wait, I think that came out wrong. We'll miss you, Dana. That's what I meant to say. Dana knows I'm kidding. She knows I am. Pat says, Russ, idea for name, Russ and Us. I thought you told him that already, Pat.
How about So Russ?
So Russ. Just,
Or
just like,
So Fabulous. So Fabulous Russ.
okay, that's getting kind of. But when you said So Russ, I thought of Jack from
So Fabulous.
some Will and Grace, where just Jack, so Russ. Yeah, jazz hands. Russ says the info will be in for his so day on Wednesday's vlog. It's going to be Sunday, 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. I believe that's a half an hour into our live, Russ. Just saying, bitch. Zoom links in the vlog. Yeah, it's okay. Whatever. I'll be there, but I won't be there at 4:30. Sorry. I'll be leaving probably about 3:30 because we have this little thing called a live.
Isn't that too early for Brenda?
Oh, yeah, it will be. Brenda, she'll be complaining now. She's not going to make that one at that time. Julie says, that's great on rulers. Add in thread what you use in your many machines. We've done a thread. We did one. If you look in our past So Chatties, Julie, we did a whole thing on threads in there. So, Carol says, would people be interested in hearing more about wide back fabrics? I've never used them. Which brands have the nicest fabric? Which colors work best with most quilts? Okay. Can answer that one right now for you. First of all, you use wide back fabrics for the back of a quilt that you don't want to have to piece. What are you looking at?
Are you expecting?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
How come mine didn't go off? Mine says that mine went the fitness thing. Oh, there it is. Yeah, it's my Amazon thing. Anyways, yeah, so wide backs are usually about 108 inches. You can sometimes get them as much as 120 inches. But if you don't want to piece your backing on a quilt, they're the way to go. But they tend to be pricey. Here in Canada, they range anywhere from about $28, which would be the cheaper end, to they can be as much as $45 a meter. Which brands are the nicest fabric? Well, it's basically the same as any of the name brands of regular fabric too. It's just wider cotton. It's the same quality as, like Northcott has or any of the other ones. So really, yeah,
like you can go on a website like Missouri Star Quilts or whatever, and just look for 108 inch or wide back fabric or something like that, 108 inch wide fabric. And a lot of the places at any quilt supplier will have a selection of 108 fabric.
Yeah.
The only thing is you won't get the same amount of selection on 108s as you would for regular quilting fabric.
Yeah, they don't make it in every fabric at all. In fact, your pickings are going to be somewhat slimmer for choice. You have to shop around. Like I just bought, and I'll be showing you guys this on the Idiot Quilter. I just bought 33 meters, 11 different fabrics, because I buy 3 meters of a wide back every time I buy wide back, because that's usually gives me enough to do a quilt with a little bit left over.
Yeah, so if you're in the U.S. and you do yards, if it
3 yards,
if you do 108 is 3 yards, right? 108 wide fabric is 3 yards. So if you buy 3 yards of 108 wide, you get a piece of fabric that's 108 by 108.
Yeah. I see what you were doing there. Didn't catch on at first, but so I'm slow. And which colors work best with most quilts? That's totally up to you. What you want. Some people are very particular about the color of wide back because they want to pick up some of the colors in the front of the quilt. I will go to that to a certain extent, but look at it this way. Most people don't see the quilt from the front and the back at the same time. Unless you flip it over so it's overlaying itself, you're not going to see that. So you can use whatever grabs your fancy, and it depends on how much of the quilting you want to show up on the back. So, if you think about whatever you're going to use for quilting thread on it, like if you've got a dark backing and you use a really dark thread, your quilting isn't going to be as visible, pending the pattern and things like that. And sometimes I pick them purposely for that because it hides a whole lot of, if you have any kind of little error or something on it. But if you want it to be really bold, then use a lighter thread against a dark fabric or vice versa, whatever. It's really up to you. There is no rule that I know of governing this kind of thing.
Yeah, so and there's lots of places that will have them on sale, period times, sometimes, and you can get some decent
Yeah.
prices on them. So.
Yeah, I watch for sales. That's why I bought so much of what I just said, because they had a fantastic sale happening. What was it, 25% or 30%?
Yeah, it was.
Something?
You got some wide backs for about $20 a meter.
Less than that. I
Yeah.
got some for about $18
Yeah,
a meter, which is fantastic for wide back.
and $18 sort of translates, if you're in the U.S., to about $12 U.S.
Yeah, a yard.
Yeah.
But anyways, it was fantastic sale. So yeah, it didn't take me long to get $750 worth of fabric in there. But I'm always searching for wide backs. I'm always looking for sales on them because of the price, more or less. But you can piece a backing, and many people do. I have done it. Don't like doing it. Just don't like doing it at all. I like the wide back. So I hope that helps you, Carol. Joy says, just let Walter cook. You can clean up. Already do that. Because he destroys a quick kitchen every time he cooks.
And he's fussy.
I am fussy. I am. That's why we have nice things. Because I clean up. If we left it to you, we'd have nothing. Joanna says, I use stainless steel pots and pans. I have Revereware. I've been using them for over 50 years. I like them better than non-stick pans. The problem with the non-stick pans is that Teflon coating or non-stick surface over time can peel off.
Yeah, well, I've been watching some videos online about which cookwares, some of the better ones and stuff. And they do recommend that you may have one non-stick frying pan, basically to fry eggs with. But other than that, actually, I do like the stainless steel better, and for most things.
Yeah. And it's just popped up here. Joy says, Walter seems so calm. It's the medication. It's kicking in. No, he's not calm. Believe me, he is not calm. Well, next to me, maybe he is.
Yeah, I don't panic quite as bad.
No, you panic. Just depends on what the things are that you panic about. Pat says, Dana, come back to us with lots of great info. Kev says to Johanna, my son bought us a set and it's quite different. We have to make sure to aisle the pan first. Oil, I think. Otherwise, they are fine and more healthful.
Yeah, actually, you got to watch out with cooking sprays because there is one nonstick pan that we have that suggests you don't use cooking sprays, and I have noticed that because it will leave a residue on the pan and cause it to start sticking. And I have noticed some of the sprays do leave a bit of a residue.
Yeah, and other ones are saying here about using spray oil or butter for some things and olive oil. Yeah. And Pat says, do you guys keep a list of things you want to tackle?
No, I'm totally unorganized.
Do you mean like sewing things? Is that the kind of thing you're talking about, Pat? Because I do. And then I promptly forget about that I've got a list. And then I make lists about lists. I'm a list maker.
Occasionally, if there's some things that I really need to get done, I make notes on my computer about it. Tell me I got to do that. I got a reminder to do something.
Yeah. And Johanna says, yes, Stephen, that's what happened to me. I think she means about the peeling away of the non-stick stuff. Teresa says, I got my stainless steel cookware as a graduation gift in 78. God, they're old. They're still like new. Lifetime brand. The company has changed hands, but they still honor the warranty. I've had handles replaced. Yeah, well, it probably does pay to spend. It's a lot of money on really good set of pans, but if you do a lot of cooking, it's probably worth the investment, over time. Um,
Yes, tell me more.
yes, tell me more.
What
What
about lists?
what about Pat? I've lost the train of thought here, Pat. I'm not sure what you're asking. Um,
Steve's always really organized, and I'm
well,
semi-organized.
you're organized, but you're just
I'm
organized in a
I'm
totally
not
different
as
vein.
organized as he is, but I do. I mean, even when I used to work, I used to keep everything in my head, and then eventually I realized I started forgetting things, even when I was younger, and then I started writing a few things down that I had to get done. So
I have to make lists to keep myself track because I can easily feel overwhelmed by things that and it's not because they are things that I'm don't want to do. It's just so many things, like in sewing projects, that I want to do. And if I don't write them down, and what that does is it gives me a sense of organization. Doesn't mean I will necessarily still get them all done, but I feel that they are now manageable if I see it all in a list. So that's why I do that kind of thing. Pat says, yeah, lists. Um, so yeah, list making, you can either do it or you can't do it. There's no, there's a lot of things out there that say they can teach people how to do this kind of stuff. And they talk about, there's actually, I just saw the other day and I investigated it because it kind of intrigued me. It's an AI program. It's basically a to-do list calendar all in one kind of a thing, kind of like Google calendars or things like that. They're all integrated, but it has an AI function in it, which is kind of scary because what it does is it prioritizes your stuff on your past history of what you're doing. But it's a subscription and it's $20 a month for an individual. And I'm not going to, I think it's geared towards more to people in business, project managers, things like that, than it is necessarily for, home use for the average person. But it was kind of intriguing. But no, I'm not paying for that kind of thing. I'll use my system, and I have several systems that I do. So, and I really don't need AI telling me what my priorities should be because that becomes scary, if you think about it, controlling us. Oh, what's this? I list Pet says it he LT he. I think her finger slipped. Jan says, I can't help myself. On Steven's to-do list, number one, tree skirt. Yeah. We know, Jan. You've been bugging me about that forever. Oh, lists help. That's what she was starting to write. I do. I find they do. Some people don't like that kind of organization.
actually, sometimes if you like, even when I worked and stuff, sometimes if you wrote down a list, it helped embed it in your mind for future.
Well,
Even
that's
if
the
you
other
didn't
thing.
look at the list again.
That's the other reason I make lists. I need reminders because too many things go through my head in a given day. And I don't know if it's my age or what, but I find myself starting one thing and then I get squirrel.
Squirrel.
Oh, I need to do that. I'll do that right now. And then I go back and go, what was I doing before? If I have a list, then, oh yeah, that's right. That's what I'm doing. Joy says, I have to make the list too, but try to limit them to 5 things per day and a weekly to a monthly list for bigger chores. Actually, that's what some of the organizational experts that I have read things about and seen things about, they say, like, lists can also become overwhelming because you keep adding to the list. And before you know it, you have 20, 30 things on the list. And you look at it and go, I'll never get this stuff done. So it's called prioritizing. So you move up on the list, you have a section, and I think 5 is probably a good number where you say, okay, these are my 5 things I want to accomplish before day's end. And you check them off. And you can sub-organize them into, okay, this one is a definite must. I have to have it done today, and move it down in priority on your checklist. And I do that too, as well. I do make long-term lists, future plans, I usually call them. When I plan something, like the retreats. I started planning the fall retreat a couple of months ago, but I start with a brainstorm list. I just sit down for 5 to 10 minutes and I just write down everything that comes into my head as it comes in. I don't worry about prioritizing it. I don't worry about whether it's really relevant or not. And then you come back to it and you start to do those kind of things. You throw out the things, you know, what was I thinking? I'm not going to do that. Get rid of that. But here are the things that I need to get done. These are the ones I want to focus on. And I've done that with everything in my life. And that comes from my teaching experience. That's how I used to plan lesson plans or a new unit that I was going to teach. I would just sit down for 5-10 minutes and I just brainstorm. I used to teach kids how to do this too, how to brainstorm ideas. And then we used to call it mind mapping, which was a lot of fun because I'd have the kids, I'd put big sheets of paper on their desks, they'd be in groups, and give them a whole bunch of colored markers. And in the center, they would put down the topic. Let's say if we were developing essay ideas, they'd put a topic in the center, and we'd start putting down whatever came in the mind that went with that topic. And then they'd move to another desk and they'd add more to that. And they'd branch them off. They'd draw a line and they would write something out that came from that. And by the time we had done that in 20 minutes to half an hour, we'd have all these charts. Then I would take them to the next level, which was organizing those thoughts and things like that. And basically what I was teaching them was how to come up with a topic for an essay and how to eventually develop that into a thesis. And it all went into essay writing and things like that. And I do that with myself too. I don't quite draw it. I don't use big pieces of paper and colored markers anymore. I use my computer and do that. But yeah, that's one way of organizing yourself. Yeah, kids need it to learn how to do that because kids got overwhelmed. If you just said to them, okay, I want you to write an essay about Hamlet, well, forget it. You'd never get anything, or what you got would be garbage. You had to show them how that, they can develop ideas from their own heads and what the procedure is for doing that. Joyce says, is that a quilt banner above the white cabinets to Stephen's right, or boxes of stuff?
You got boxes on top of your cabinet. Right?
Oh, up at the top.
I think she's referring to the idiot quilter up there.
Or do you mean the idiot quilter banners? Because those are banners. Actually, one of my subscribers, he works in a business and he made those for me for free. Lance, he's great. He's on here sometimes, and he sometimes shows up on pop-up so days too as well. Faith says, I was telling my daughter about your freestanding applique. She says pumpkins, so now she would like a set by Thanksgiving. Huh. Okay, good luck with that. Well, but you have longer time than our Thanksgiving. I was thinking our Thanksgiving. You have American Thanksgiving. Oops, my thumb went up. So yeah, once you've done one, Faith, as we've said before, you can do anything. They're easy. Above the white cabinets. Okay, those are boxes. Those are photo boxes. There's all kinds of old style, take with film pictures in those. Family pictures, trip pictures. They're semi-organized, semi-not organized, because I used to be a scrapbooker, and that's what they were for. Well, I don't scrapbook anymore. So yeah, they sit up there. I should pull them down, take a look exactly what I do have in there. Actually, until you mentioned out of sight, out of mind, I don't look up that tall, that high. With them, I kind of forgot about them. Yes, Pat, you're right. There is something very gratifying about being able to check off your list. It makes you feel like you've accomplished something. Joy likes the way that we decorate the house with creations. Well, I need them because I have no storage space. And Pat liked the pumpkins, the elegant pumpkins. Yep, they were fun to make. They look nice when you put a little light in them because there's a space underneath them. So last night we went to my high school reunion. It was the 70th. Now, no, I did not graduate 70 years ago. It's 70th anniversary of the building of the school. The high school I went to was built in 1954. I went between 1971 and 76. I'm a class of 76. And then after I finished my first degree and my teacher's degree, I was hired by my old high school in 1981, and I taught there for 11 years. So we went to this reunion, and my sister and her husband came with us as well, thank God, because there wasn't a soul there that I recognized. Well, they got old, for one thing. But there seemed to be a lack of
Organization.
well, there was organization. I mean,
Yeah.
the people who put it together, they did
They did. They did their.
they did a good job.
They did a good job. The only problem was is that because everybody had aged,
Yeah.
a lot of people didn't recognize each other. So you didn't, unless you had figured out what their name tag was or whatever.
Well, that was one of the problems. We had name tags, right? You went in, you got those ones you stick on yourself, and hi, my name is. I put my last name on. I put Stephen Bland. A lot of them just put their first name on it. My sister goes.
Some guy was walking around with the name Craig. Well, anybody could be
Craig. And there were several Stevens there. So besides myself. So, I mean, that was dumb. Now, I did have a young, well, not so young. She's about to retire, actually, she told me. She comes over, she and two guys, they come over and sat down at her table and go, "Hi, Mr. Bland, do you remember me?" And I said, "Nope. Did I go to school with you or did I teach you?" And she says, No, you were my favorite teacher. You taught me when I was in, I don't know what grade it was. She didn't, actually, I don't think she told me the grade. And I went, "And what's your name?" "It's Susan." I said, "Susan who?" She said her last name. Didn't ring a bell. But the guy sitting next to her, as soon as she said his name, I remembered him because he was a prick in high school. And I said to him, "Oh, John, you were a prick in high school. You still a prick?" And he goes, "Yeah, pretty much." I'll have to say this, he had a sense of humor. But I taught him, and I sort of remember him, although he was much better looking when he was younger. Actually, my sister used to hang out with him a bit too, and she said the same thing. Don't know what happened to him. Well, first of all, he lost all his hair. Well, I guess it happens. And whatnot. And then the other guy they were sitting with, he looked like, okay, hello.
He looked like he crawled out from under a rock.
He looked like a stoner. Actually, if I remember correctly, I think I did teach him, and he was a stoner, and he still is. Nice enough guy, but a stoner. My brother-in-law was talking to him, and I said, "Do you know him?" And my brother says, "No, just started talking to him." Went, okay. So anyways, we talked a little bit about it. I guess this ex-student of mine did not realize that I was a graduate of the same school. And they had a little photo area set up, right? So she had to have a selfie. So there I am. But that's the only person. And there was one weird guy in the place. And I heard him say his name. And I knew him. But he didn't look like him anymore. He was dressed in the Hamburglar outfit. Black and white stripes. The pants,
I think he was
the
supposed
shirt.
to be Where's Waldo.
Yeah, and he had these big round glasses.
Yeah.
And I think, when I think about it now, knowing what his personality was like, in high school, he was a real card. I think he was trying to be funny, but the weird part was, and this is kind of sad, he had a little notebook with him, and he seemed to be writing, like taking notes all the time. And I found out later that he'd had a stroke and he couldn't speak. And so he was writing things down when he was talking to people. I didn't go over and speak to him because I wasn't sure it was that guy. And because the way he was moving around the room and things, it was really weird. And I thought it probably was him. But then when I heard this other part, my sister picked up the scuttlebutt in some cloud because she was sort of making the rounds at one point. Because my sister, when she went to high school, she went to the same high school, obviously, but she's 8 years younger than I am. She was actually in her 6th year of high school when I was teaching it. We call it the victory lap because those were in the days when there was still grade 13 for us here in Ontario. And so she was very, very social in high school. I was not. I was a nerd. and I hung out with a few other nerds, but we weren't part of the in crowd. And basically the mean girls and the mean boys, the jocks and that, would have very little to do with us. And if they had anything to do with us, if they showed us any attention, it was always negative. So why was I at this thing? But I mean, having said that, it wasn't too bad. They had a cash bar, and talk about primitive. You had to pay cash. Like they didn't have a debit machine or like a credit card machine, which, of course, it is in the Polish Hall, and the people who run the Polish Hall are as cheap as hell, always have been, and so it would have probably cost them money to put something like that in, and they don't like to spend money on anything. There was a food truck out in the parking lot. If you wanted a gourmet grilled cheese, we didn't. We ate before we came because we knew about that. Now, they did have door prizes, though. They had a raffle. The raffle...
They had a ton of door prizes.
They had a lot of door prizes. And we did win one. But before I talk about that, this raffle they had was for a weekend kind of a thing down in east of us. They call it Prince Edward County. It's very... so there's wineries there and things like that. And it was basically...
It was
guest
actually,
house,
they called it a VRBO.
Oh, what? A B?
VRBO.
B.
Vacation rental.
Oh, okay. Where?
By owner.
It looked kind of cute and nice and that, but we didn't win that. I bought an arm's length, they called it, of tickets for $10.
Well, actually, the lady selling the ticket, it was her place. It
was her place that she was selling the tickets. And she's somebody that grew up in my subdivision, and I knew her and her brother, but they were in my sister's and my brother's years. They weren't in mine. But they did do door prizes, and we won a door prize. Show them, Walter, what we won.
I won a portable booster for your car.
Now, what does this do, Walter?
With cables.
Okay.
If you need to boost your battery on your car, you can use this. In fact, earlier this year when we went to Australia, we came back. I had my car had drained in my while we were away because of all the electronics on it. So I had to call somebody to come and boost my car. So what they do is they came with one of these to boost the car. I thought, well, that would be handy to have hanging around in case you needed to do that.
And there's a bonus.
And there's a bonus. You can plug in your phone or your laptop or something like that and power it up using this thing.
He was when I went up to get the prize, the lady had two things. She had this in her hand, and she had something else that looked like it was like a storage bag or something to wear or whatever. And she says, "Oh, here, I'll give you this," she says, "because you're a man, and so this would be appropriate for you." And I'm like, "Oh, thanks, dear. That's so sweet." No. And I went, okay. I didn't know what the hell it was. It was heavy. So I bring it back to the table. You'd think it was Christmas morning. Walter's eyes just lit up.
Well, one of these regular price in Canada is about $170. And actually, I looked it up, and it was on sale this week at Canadian Tire for $150.
So,
but still, that's a good price.
So Walter got so excited with it. I said to him, "Well, you're welcome. Merry Christmas. Happy birthday."
And your sister got a big basket.
Yeah, my sister won too. First, it was a big basket of stuff, but the first one they gave to her was full of stuff for your pet. And she says, "I don't have a pet." I suggested that maybe she take some of the food that was in it and serve it as appetizers or something. Not to us, but the people she didn't like, which would probably be us. No, but so they gave her another basket, and I'm not sure what was in there, but it looked like there were two bottles
like
of
there's a
wine
couple of bottles of wine, and there was some what do you call it, premixed drink coolers or whatever.
Coolers and probably some munchy kind of things, crackers and stuff like that. Basket was really nice too. So actually, that was kind of nice that they had there. They had funny thing was they had a slideshow going on continuously, and it was showing pictures from the past. Okay, there were a lot of pictures from possibly the late 60s into the early 70s, a few back in the 50s, and then suddenly there was a couple of pictures from the 80s, The 90s didn't exist. It jumped right up to 2010, and there was like what 2 pictures from 2010, and that was it. So I guess they weren't able to get anything from the other decades or whatever. And the other thing that would have been kind of, I think, nice, but it probably would have been difficult to do, but it's been done at reunions before. If they'd had decade tables, if they could have collected some memorabilia or something from each of the decades and put it there, I think that would have had people talking, and I think it would have encouraged people to mingle a little bit more, because there wasn't really a whole lot of mingling going on, although some people came with a bunch of other people, so they were probably the people. There's always those ones that never got beyond high school, who hang out with the same people they hang out with in high school. So I think there were a few groups like that. And then you made a suggestion too, which was a really good suggestion. If they had posted lists of the names of the people that were supposed to be there, that had said they were coming, that had tickets, because then you could go down the list and say, I wonder if such and such is here, because nobody looks the same as they looked like in high school.
Actually, designing Jess Johanna, isn't it? Designing J.
Yeah, what about her?
Said at her husband's class reunion, they had name tags and had their high school picture along with it. That
would have been a good idea.
Or even if they hung up a list and
had pictures too beside it from the yearbooks or something like that. That would have been a good idea. This is what we mean. I mean, it's a big job to put something like this together. They had a Facebook page for it as well. Somebody in the Facebook group asked if there was going to be a tour of the school, and they said no, the school's got nothing to do with this. When the last reunion we went to was the 50th reunion of the school opening. That was, they had on a weekend, you could go into the school. They had an open house. You could walk around the school, and they had decade rooms, and you could go in. They had all kinds of memorabilia there. And then at night they had sort of a semi-dinner dance kind of thing in one of the
so obviously this was not a school sanctioned one.
No. But I don't know if schools even sanction them anymore.
No, I
don't know.
They may not want to.
They may not.
It may be too much trouble.
Well, first of all, they can't serve booze in the school.
No.
If you were going to have the whole thing in the school. But I don't know. It also fell at a very early time of the year. It fell within the first week of classes going back in. And that might be another reason why the school wasn't really involved, because there's too much mayhem and chaos happening in the first month of school. So I don't know. But they worked, they did what they did, and it was appreciated. I'm not going to belittle them with this kind of thing. And it was okay. I'm just glad my sister was there.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I've been stuck just talking to Walter. And with my sister, she never shuts up. So I mean, there's never a dull moment. There's no vacuum.
Actually, I think your sister was one of the best looking ones there.
Yeah. People were coming up to her and go, you look the same as in high school. Actually,
she kind of does.
He kind of does, too. Although my sister says, every time I get up in the morning, I look in the mirror, she says, I see my mother. Well, it's not your looks, sister. Some other parts of your personality that are kind of like mom do. So, whatever. But, so that was it. I don't know. I didn't have a bad high school experience, but it was not something I
had an opportunity to go to a reunion a few years ago from school. I didn't really have a lot of friends I hung around with at school, and I had some bad experiences in high school. And I don't know, I said to Steve, I don't know about going there. I'm afraid that I'd go there and stand up against the wall and don't know anybody and wouldn't talk to anybody. So,
well, it was kind of
now, mind you, one guy that I used to hang around with said, "Oh, I was looking for you at the reunion." I said, "No, I decided not to go."
Well, I was encouraging you to go, that we would go, but I don't want to do that. So, and I mean, I said to my sister, like, I bought these tickets back when we were in Australia. I saw it come up. I don't know where I saw it come up, and I says, oh, they're going to have a reunion. So I immediately ordered the tickets, bought the tickets right then and there. And the closer we got to the date, the more I was going, why did I do that? Like, why am I going to this thing? And I said that to my sister. My sister said, sounded like you were trying to back out of this. She says, I just spent $70 on this. You owe us $70, you back out. I said, no, I'm going. But, you know, I don't know. It was okay. It was okay. Didn't have a horrible time, but I guess I had the time that I expected to have because I'm not that interested in those people but anymore seeing them. But most of them weren't there.
Yeah.
I didn't see anybody with the exception of the guy that had the stroke. That I recognized, and no one came up and spoke to me. Of course, I don't look the same as I did in high school. I'm so much better now. And
you don't have your afro.
No, true. Let's not go there. And of course, with age, I just got better. The rest of them fell apart. Yeah, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
There were probably a lot of really old people.
Whoa. And the scary part was some of those people were not in my year. They were in the 80s. I went, what the hell happened to you? I may have taught you. Jeez. Well, whatever. It was an experience. So we're getting close to the end of our time here. So let's just see what people are saying. Oh, Joy wants to know, is Walter still learning to long arm?
No.
I
will. It says an as need basis.
Yeah, well, it's on need basis. He needs to square up that quilt and bind it.
Yeah.
I told him I'd help him.
Yeah.
I'd show him how, but we haven't got to that yet. You have to do it before we go
I know.
to Dahlonega, to Stephanie's retreat at Christmas, because you're taking it with us to compare it with, well, not compare it, but to see it next to Stephanie's version of the same quilt. So, yeah. Oops. Johanna says that my husband's, oh yeah, we talked about that. Teresa says, I ran into a guy who dropped out of my year, early parenthood. He ended up going back to school, med school, and is now a brain surgeon. Well, it can happen to some people. Yeah, there are success stories. I mean, after all, I could have broadcast, oh, I'm a YouTube celebrity. We're YouTube celebrities. Have you seen it? Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. Derek says, when we had our 20-year reunion for high school, I was just there to see who had ended up in jail. I felt so much better about myself and my boring life after hearing what had happened to some people. Yeah, there's always that too, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, the sadistic side of me wanted to go just to see how badly people had fallen apart. Yeah, I admit it. I'm not ashamed of it. Joy says, I got the same thing and use it often. My battery dies all the time. Yes, about $150. Here. It works great, Walter. Very easy to use. Yep, that's about the charger. Yeah, the gift of the night, I guess. Yeah, Joy. No, won't do that. Won't join the committee. It is way too much.
Yeah, we've been on committees like that before.
Not doing that.
It's a lot of work.
And besides, the next one might be the 100th, and I'll have a walker by then. Derek says, what I found strange was how other people had completely different recollections of our high school experience. People thought we were great friends, and I had no memory of ever speaking to them. Well, I didn't have that happen to me. No one spoke to me except that kid that I didn't remember that I taught. She's no kid. She's about to retire. Now, how to make you feel old on that one. Hi, Delmar. Delmarie, I mean. So anyways, yep. Yeah, I'm kind of glad we went. I mean, if we hadn't, we wouldn't have won that prize.
Well, it was something to do.
It was something to do, yeah. Patsy says, so many of my high school class have died. My hubby and I were in the same class. Yeah, that's kind of a downer
we
too,
were talking about a few people that would definitely not be there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for that. So that's kind of a downer. But anyways, okay, so that's this week. We're all done. So just recap here of events coming up. My vlog on Monday. Also the special video about the fall retreat up at 9 o'clock. Idiot Quilter this week. Going to look at some of those things I gave you sneak peeks at and some other things and talk about it. Actually, I have a very packed show on Tuesday with all kinds of things. Friday, So Chatty, we're going to be talking about rulers and templates. What are the best ones that we like? What ones have we wasted our money on? Why did we buy them in the first place? What do you do with them? With storage, all that kind of stuff. And we're going to look at it from both garment sewer and quilter points of view. Saturday, pop-up sew day. Doors open virtually at 8 a.m. Link will be in the show notes for everything I put up next week, and those on the mailing list will get it as well. Sunday, Russ's sew day as well, and his details will be on his vlog on Wednesday. So catch that all up then. And then we'll have, and our live will be next Sunday as well. So busy week for us all. And Stephanie's off to her retreat and hope she has a really good time there and it's really success, and look forward to hearing all about it when she gets back. And maybe Stephanie will make a candid appearance on some of our lives and things happening as well during the week. Okay, everybody. So have a great week. I'm sure we'll see some of you on some of those pop-ups. And yeah, time to say goodbye.
Goodbye.